Hey guys, happy Monday. So today we are on day 4 of writing our fairy tales, and we're talking about situation. We're also going to talk about plot. I'm going to show you a plot chart that I did over Once Upon a Time. You'll be doing a plot chart next week sometime. So this will kind of be just some exposure to it. You've probably already seen it in junior high, but just in case you haven't. So we're gonna play a little game first. I wish I was there to see your reactions. I'm not, so I'm just gonna have to tell you what I think of when I see these. We're gonna play a game called What's the Sitch? That's Kim Possible if you don't know. If you don't know who she is, I suggest you get Disney Plus and watch her. She's from my time, but it's a very good show. Okay. Situation number 1. So you're gonna guess what is going on. Personally, I think there was obviously some chewed up bubble gum on the back of this guy's seat, and this sweet little girl got her foot stuck in it, and he's turning around to see if she needs help removing the shoe. Okay, maybe that's what y'all are thinking. Or, maybe she's just a brat kicking a seat. Situation number 2. I think this guy was trying to drive like me, and that's how he parked at the mall. Don't really see anything wrong with it. Situation number 3. This is an actual picture of my family last Christmas when I sang The Little Drummer Boy for everyone. We're a very diverse family. All right. Situation number 4. I think I lost count already. So I obviously think that Snoop Dogg over here, my boy Snoop Lion, not anymore. Now he's back to Snoop Dogg actually. But that he made friends with these firefighters and he asked them to come hang out with him and have a slumber party because he has his little, his video game controller right here and he's in his PJs. But they had a fire to fight and got off work late. So they had to come in full uniforms, but they still wanted to take a picture, say what's up. That guy was invited too. He's not a firefighter, but he's just cool, So I'm sure that's probably what y'all were thinking too, but that's what I think of when I see this. So that's our game for What's the Sitch. Leave a comment on this Ed puzzle and let me know what you thought was going on in those situations. Okay. Now we're just quickly, I promise I'll try to make today's video quick, going to look at this plot chart because we're talking about situation, and it's very important in a story to establish a situation when you're writing one. You need to have a story. You need to have a climax. Something big needs to happen. Otherwise, no one's going to want to read your story. It's just going to be boring, So, we start with our exposition. This gives the background, the setting, yada, yada, yada. I did not do the initial setting of Gortimer's story in this, where she's talking about how someone asked her to write a fairy tale and she's laying in bed. I took the fairy tale she told itself and made a plot chart over that, okay? So technically, it's like not the complete Once Upon a Time plot chart, but whatever. Okay, we start with our exposition. Sorry, I live right down the street from BSR, and it's closing time, and these people always drive crazy on their way home. So anyway, exposition. So in the fairy tale, they're living in this community, and everyone in the community, they live kind of the same way, right? They all have houses, nicer houses. They don't want to be broken into. So they have bars on the windows. They have guard dogs, locks, cameras, gates, keep out signs, etc., etc. Now it tells us all that kind of in the beginning. That's going into the rising action a little, that they keep getting safer and safer. So you may just start with a similar community who, has keep out signs and seems a little paranoid. And then the rising action would be they seem to be getting more and more paranoid or continue to be guarded. Climax. Now, this story does not follow the original plot pattern because the climax happens like 3 sentences before the end. Typically, it's about in the middle of the story or like 3/4 of the way through the story, so it's a little different. The family buys a terrifying addition, the dragon's teeth, right, to the house that strongly foreshadows something bad will happen. We know someone's going to get eaten. And they think it's going to be the cat, right? But the cat climbs over. But it's the little boy. It's a plot twist, shocker. Little boy gets trapped in the jaws, munched to death. It's horrific, right? And the maid and the gardener are both watching, or whomever they are, the two house employees. And then the falling action, the parents run out and they're trying to help, right? And the security siren, now if there were more at the end, this may be part of the climax, but for this case, it's going to be the falling action. The security siren is so loud, it's wailing so loud that it outcries the parents. You cannot hear the parents screaming, and even if they were screaming for help, no one would be able to come in their house and help them because it is so guarded. Also, something we didn't say up here is that the little boy, he never really was afraid, right? He always just thought everything was a big game. He played on all the safety equipment. He was not afraid. And there's a lot to be said for the fact that an innocent was killed in all of this by fault of the parents, essentially, for fearing things that were different than their own. So, anyway, there is a lot to be said for the character of that and the deeper meaning in that. But the falling action, siren wails, outcries parents, their son can't get help in, right? And then the resolution, the denouement, the family, along with the servants that advise them to make the house more secure, carry in the remains of the boy. And so it's very important that it wasn't just the parents, or it didn't just end there. The author made sure to say that they carried his remains in, all four of them. And that is to kind of share blame, right? It was not just the parents at fault for buying, but the servants encouraged, right, and helped instill the fears in them that they were not safe enough for their own safety as well. So it kind of shows that everyone, and that is symbolic of the greater picture, right? Everyone who feared these others so much were at fault and caused their own paranoia and ultimately their downfall. So it's very important you have a situation going on in your story. I want you to have something that goes along the lines of this. You need all 5 things in your story. That should have come out in your story map. Naturally, we all kind of do this, right? We don't like to write boring stories because then we bore ourselves. So typically we all have some big thing that happens in our stories, but if you don't, make sure you go back and place that. And yep, that's all for today. Go on Writable, write it, make sure you copy and paste it over to that Google Doc. I can't say that enough. And I'll see you tomorrow.